はじめまして、白宮奈々です。4月25日から28日まで千本桜ホールにて朗読劇「リライフ」に出させていただきます。グラビアアイドルのお話ということで、私もデビューして間もないんですけども頑張りたいと思うのでよろしくお願いします。見に来てください。
なんか自分の頭で考えたことを言葉に出す作業っていうのがまあコロナ禍もあってなかなか人と喋る機会も減ってる中でボイシーっていうのはすごく頭の中をすっきりさせられるし話す練習にもなるし、なんかそれがバラエティーでコメントを求められる時とかもちょっと生きてるんじゃないかなって VTR 見て自分の中で何を思ってそれをどう言葉に出したら伝わりやすいかっていうのはすごくボイシーの中でちょっとは鍛えられてるんじゃないかなって思いますし、やっぱりこういう時期なので一日お休みだったりすると人と喋んないで一日が終わっちゃう時間も日にちもあったりするので、そういう時にボイシーで喋るっていうことをするとなんか自分の中でリラックスできる時間にもなってるし、聞いてくださってる方も、毎日同じ時間に投稿してるのでなんかそれが日課になってる方もいらっしゃるみたいで、なんか始めてよかったなって思います。
今日はフレンチガールの号だったのでちょっと強めのアイラインと真っ赤なリップも塗って、あともうワンカットは中村りさちゃんとご一緒させていただいて、ずっとビスの紙面で見てすごい憧れだったので一緒に撮影ができて、今回2回目だったんですけど嬉しかったです。フルーツサンドとかプリンとかと一緒に撮った時に髪の毛をすごいくるくるになって海外の子供みたいな髪型にしていただいた時がめちゃめちゃ面白かったです。
やっとタンブリングが帰ってくることになりました。本当に僕自身嬉しく思っております。前回のタンブリング2020稽古の方が結構進んでいて、それこそタンブリングのお芝居の方も完成していて、そして普通のね舞台のお芝居の方も投資までやってて、本当にいよいよみんなに、来てくれる皆さんに見せるというところまで来てたんですけど、残念ながらできなかったのが本当に去年悔しくて、それが無事今年叶って本当に嬉しく思います。で僕自身も練習ずっと続けてまたレベルアップできていると思いますので、やっぱ2020年よりもなんだかんだいいものできんじゃないかなと本当に思っております。タンブリングってやっぱもう汗と涙と感動なので、そこを皆さんと共有できたらいいなと思っております。新体操の練習はね、本当に足がプルプルするんですよなんかそれが帰ってきたなっていう感じですね。それこそね、バランスとかあと視下倒立とかそういう止まる動きがすごい多くて、僕がやってるパルクールっていう動きってそういう止まる動きって少なくて、それがなんか新体操となんか多分みんなが普段やってる運動の違いかなっていうのがあって、やっぱり足がプルプルするとタンブリング練習してるよねっていう話を結構みんなでするんですよ。だからそれがなんか帰ってきたなっていう感じで、なんか今年しかできない2021のメンバーでしかできないものをやっぱり作っていきたいなという思いです。僕のアピールポイントはね、体の線かな。筋肉ってよりは、筋肉はもう梶原くんがいるんで、梶がいるんで、筋肉担当がもりっとしたものを見たい方はぜひ梶を見たらいいと思いますし、体のラインを作るのが、割と僕は得意な方なので、その体の線の美しさを見たかったらぜひ僕のことを見てください。梶は要はトリッキングっていうスポーツをすごいやっていて、で僕自身も、17歳高校生ぐらいから16歳かな、トリッキングとパルクールやってるんですけどやってるんで、やっぱそこは負けたくない部分ですかね。多分すごく動ける人なんで、その動く量とか動きの綺麗さとかはちょっと負けたくないかなと思っております。タンブリング、待っている皆さん本当にお待たせしました。いよいよ舞台タンブリングが帰ってきます。 今回、本当にまた素敵なメンバーが揃っていると思います。皆さん僕たちと一緒に、暑い夏を過ごしましょう。ぜひ劇場でお待ちしております。
千葉県出身21歳桜田真央です。皆さん初めて見る方も多いと思うんですけど、今現在大学4年生で周りはみんな就活をしている時期なのですが、私は芸能界に就職を決めたいと思って今頑張っています。自信のあるパーツは眉毛です。私は眉毛は化粧を落としても全然残っているので、すっぴんでもそんなに眉毛が印象的なので変わらないねって言われます。はい、私去年の夏にスリランカにボランティアに行ったんですけど、その時に3キロも太ってしまって、それをこのミスマガジンのために4キロくらい落として体重を減らしました。トレーニングはちょっとなんですけどヨガをやっています。それで結構腹筋というか体幹を鍛えられたのでおすすめですよ、ヨガは目標の女優さんはオードリー・ヘップバーンさんと助真キキさんと長谷川潤さんです。私は海外でも活躍できるような女優さんになりたいと思っているので、かっこいい女優さんになれるように頑張ります。ミスマガジン2019ベスト16に選んでいただきました。ありがとうございます。今現在頑張っているんですけど、これからもっともっと活躍したいと思っているので、このミスマガで絶対グランプリ取りたいです。応援よろしくお願いします。
写真自体が実は本格的に始めようって思ったのが最近でして、っていうのも2018年から世界を巡る番組のレギュラー番組をやらせていただきまして、本当にその時に世界の美しい景色を見て、もうこれを残せないっていうのは非常にもったいないなっていうのを思い始めまして、それからカメラを本格的に始めたいと思って、でそれからは本当にもういろんなところ行って被写体を見つけて写真を撮ったりとか、散歩をしながら、写真撮ったりとか、そういうのも増えてきましたね。
書線チャンネルをご覧の皆さん、はじめまして、北向美優です。ただいま、セカンド写真集 M 気の向くままにのイベントが終わったところでございます。足を運んでくださった皆さん、本当にありがとうございます。そしてですね、私のお気に入りのカットを紹介させていただきたいと思います。お気に入りのカットはですね、全カット自信を持っていいと言えるんですが、その中でもちょっと今回の作品のテーマが彼女感というか恋人っぽさなので、それを踏まえた上でのお気に入りカットはこちらになります。こちらよく見ていただくと、私が片手でハートのポーズをしてるんですけど、横にあなたというか、はい、彼氏さんだったり恋人の方がいて一緒にハートを作るっていうのをちょっと考えて、カメラマンのヤニさんと行って撮ったので、ぜひ見てくださってる皆さんは私とハートを作ってる気持ちで見ていただけたらいいなと思います。はい、それではぜひ他のカットもいろいろ水着だったり違う衣装だったりで撮ってるので、ぜひ見ていただいていろいろな感想を教えていただけたら嬉しいです。では北向美優でした。バイバーイ。
週刊プレイボーイで撮影したんですけれども、私自身初めてのグラビアでフィッティングとかも撮影の前にしたんですけど、どんな水着を着るかとか、どのぐらい撮影するのかとか、何もわからないままフィッティングに行って、いろんな水着を着て当日何にするか決めたんですけど、それもすごく楽しかったです。去年の10月に沖縄で撮ったんですけど、沖縄も初めてで修学旅行とかでも行ってなかったので、撮影の前日に入りしたんですけど、マネージャーさんと沖縄でずっと食べ歩きして満喫できました。もっとしっとりした感じで撮影していくのかなって思ってたんですけど、カメラマンさんとかスタイリストさんもみんなすごい優しくて、親戚みたいな感じのテンションで話しかけてくれたので、リラックスして撮影ができました。ではお気に入りの写真を3枚選んだので紹介していきたいと思います。 1枚目は赤い水着でデジタル写真集の表紙にもなった水着で、この水着はなんかフィッティングの時に一目惚れした水着で楽しみにしてたので、デジタル写真集の表紙にこれが載ってすごい嬉しかったです。結構しっとりした感じで撮りましたね。笑顔っていうよりはアンニュイな感じの大人っぽい表情で撮るように心がけました。2枚目が花柄の水着なんですけど、撮影した日に絶対夕日が出た時に撮りたいねってなって、それを狙いながら撮影をしてたので、結構夕日が出る直前は急いで着替えていろいろ撮ったりしてたんですけど、結構ドラマチックに撮ってもらえたかなって思います。3枚目は白に小花柄のちょっと女の子っぽいような水着なんですけど、ちっちゃいお風呂みたいなとこで撮って、タイルとかに寝そべって撮ったりしたんですけど、一番自分の中で今までなかったような大人っぽい写真が撮れたかなって思ってて、結構普段が笑う感じの性格なので見たことない自分だなって思いました。今日紹介した3枚の以外にもいろいろな表情のカットがたくさんあるので、ぜひ見てもらえたら嬉しいです。以上、川沢明日香でした。バイ。
前作とかドラマもずっと見ていて、マイティウォリアーズすごいかっこいいなと思って、ずっとなんかもし出る機会があったらマイティみたいなグループで出たいなと思っていて、今回こうやってお話いただけて、ですごいマイティでかっこいいグループじゃないですか。でいろんな監督さんと話させていただいて、こうキャラを作っていく中で、最初はちょっと俺子供守るみたいなキャラになりかけたんですけど、ちょっとそれ面白すぎるんじゃないかということで今のキャラクターに落ち着いたんですけれども。
長谷川美奈です。皆様こんにちは。まず、フォーブスアンダー30ジャパン、受賞ありがとうございます。20歳になった時にもともと目標を多くというか目標を定めるとプレッシャーに感じてしまうタイプなので、あまり目標を作らずに目の前のことを頑張っていくタイプなんですが、20歳になった時に、何か一つだけ作ろうと思って、その時の目標が、フォーブスアンダー30に25歳までに選ばれることっていうのを自分の中で決めていて、そこでチームで一生懸命頑張って今25なんですけども、受賞することができてとても感動しております。これをまた一つの成功体験として引き続き発信者として、そうですね、社会問題を楽しくかっこよく、私らしく、発信していきたいなと思います。今日はありがとうございました。
長く愛用してるもの、特にこれっていうのは僕なくって、その時の自分の気分とか洋服に合わせてサングラスを変えてったりとかはしてますね。だからこの形のこれじゃなきゃいけないっていうのはなんかなくって、アイテムとかって結構僕大事にする方なので、基本的にはもう全部がもうお気に入りのアイテムなんですけど、でも中にはそういうヴィンテージものの、例えば、定番ですけどレイバンのサングラスとかもあったりもしますし、もっとハイブランドとかのねサングラスなどもあったりもします。
どうも美脚 YouTuber の岩崎奈美です。この度私岩崎奈美、こちらの週刊プレイボーイさんに、グラビアを掲載させていただきました。待望のでしょそんなことない。見て、久しぶりにほら4年ぶりってちゃんと書いてもらってねえ、嬉しいんですよ。なので今回はこのシュープレを自分で見てみたをやっていきたいなと思います。めちゃくちゃ気に入ってる写真です。これなんかね、周りの、女の子の友達とかなんか結構女性受けもすごいいい写真だった。かなと思います。すごいよね。なんか本当にこうすごい遠くから見てもインパクトあるですね。すごいね、大変だったの結構本当に大変だったんですよ。めちゃくちゃ砂漠かって ぐらい風吹いてたからなと思って、すごいなって思ったの。これの時本当に大丈夫かなと思って、取れてるかなって不安になるぐらい風吹いてて、でもさすがプロのさんだなと思って、こんなにでも面積ちっちゃくてなんかお尻バーンって出したの初めてだなと思って。私はね結構これが好きで個人的にはねこれが好きなんですよ。好きな色のね水着っていうのがあるし、なんか可愛い、自分我ながら可愛く撮れてるなと思ってすごいね気に入ってる写真なんですよね。これはそうこれはあれなんですよ、こうバーンって美脚でこう出したんですけど、岩崎意外とおっぱいもあるよっていうのをねみんなに分かってほしくて、入れてほしくて、完璧でしょ。もうこの素晴らしい、いやもうね全部入れてほしいやつは全部入ってるんですよ実は。なんかすごいね、さすがになと思いました。純粋になんかみんなにこうシープレのグラビア見てすごい良かったよって言ってもらって、それがやっぱりなんか良かったなって思って、なんかせっかくなのでねこの YouTube でまだ出してないメイキングの映像とかをちょっと撮ったので、ぜひ見てもらいたいとごめんなさい見てもらいたいなと思います。それではメイキングスタート。
皆さんこんにちは、なつみんこと山岸なつみです。本日はチャンス大阪撮影会ありがとうございました。やっぱり地元の大阪ということで、やっぱり大阪に来れるのはめちゃくちゃ嬉しいです。やっぱり来てくださっている皆さんのおかげなので、これからもまた来月もかな会えたら嬉しいなって思います。最後に告知させてください。5月1日に私が所属するラブミーのファーストワンマンライブが、新宿レニーにやります。東京なんですけども、もうファーストワンマンはこの日しかないので、初めましての方も楽しませちゃいますので、よかったらぜひ遊びに来てください。撮影会もよろしくお願いします。ありがとうございました。
いつも心に納豆魂。皆さんこんにちは、高槻美代子とみほりんです。この度ミスフラッシュ2021ファイナリストに進出しました。パチパチパチパチ、ありがとうございます。皆さんが応援していただき、たくさんの愛を届けてくれて、ここまでやっと来ることができました。もっともっと皆さんと一緒に素敵な景色を見ていきたいです。これからも納豆のように粘り強く自分らしく楽しんで、感謝の気持ちを忘れずグランプリ目指して頑張りますので、皆さん一生ついてきてくださいね。応援よろしくお願いします。絶対グランプリ取るぞ
しゃべちゃんをご覧の皆さん、きよちゃんこと清瀬ゆうきです。本日は私清瀬ゆうきからお知らせがあります。私は5月の28日をもって、シャーベットを卒業します。先日派生ユニットのカノンも解散を発表したんですけれども、私だけ同時にシャーベットの方も卒業します。理由といたしましては、もっとお芝居の方に専念したいという気持ちがあり決断しました。アイドルをやらせてもらって2年ちょっと経つんですけれども、最初はすごい苦戦していた時期もあったんですが、皆さんに支えられて、アイドルをここまで続けることができました。とても勉強にもなったし、すごく楽しい時間でした。これからは、清瀬ゆき個人としていろんな活動をしていけたらいいなと思っています。お芝居の方も頑張っていきますので、どうか温かく見守っていただけると嬉しいです。これからも清瀬ゆきとシャーベットよろしくお願いします。
やっほー、こんにちは、押田恵子です。あだ名はこっちゃんで、10月7日よりの11月号のエスカワって仲間になったよーよろしくお願いします。バイバイ。
これからも福井弁ちかっぺ頑張るで応援しての。ちなみに私の一押しの福井弁はつるつるいっぱいやざ。 一回調べてみての。
こんにちは、曽田亮介です。60秒チャレンジスタート。歯磨き、もう最高の胸キュンとたくさんの笑いですね。自然が豊か。もうそれはね、嫌い役もやってるんですけど、嫌いの声も面白いです。宮島がすごいもみじが自転車を買った。菅田将暉さんですね。明るい。
はい、岐阜県出身24歳堀美央奈です。お肉と魚が好きです。鮎とか飛騨牛が有名で、皮も綺麗で、とにかく住みやすいです。マイペースです。気分屋です。なんだろう、自分誕生日何にもいらないです。焼きたらこと梅が好きです。座右の銘、頑張ろう。なんだろう座右の銘って何ですかね。一期一会とかもいいのかな。四字熟語か、それは。一日の中で好きな時間帯、寝る直前ですね。ベッドが好きです。高価なもの、あんまり最近高価なもの買ってないですね。実感、どんどん目が悪くなっていく、視力が悪くなっていく瞬間です。
VR の普及で SDGs のいろんな項目が解決できると思っています。 VR で解決できる SDGs ってすごくたくさんあって、アバターの姿で世界に入ることでジェンダーとかっていう概念自体がないんですよね。一緒になんか働いたりプロジェクトをやってるメンバー、最近まで性別知らなかったとかいう人もすごくいますし、バーチャルで会うっていうことで移動のコストもすごく削減できるから、それって環境に優しいことですし、観光地を作るとか新しい何かエンタメの施設を作るとかって言っても、バーチャルだったら低コストでたくさん作ることもできますし、ネットにさえつながればどこにいても同じ環境で教育を受けることができるっていうのも、地域の格差とか教育の格差を、クリアしていくのにもつながると思います。そうですね、本当にSDGs とつながることがありすぎて、何かこう新しいことに挑戦してみたいとか SDGs につながることをやってみたいって思う方は、まず VR をやってみるっていうのはとってもいいと思います。
bother you, they never bother me. I think everything's fine. Living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time. Haven't got a lot, I don't need a lot, coffee's only a dime. Living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time. Just take it from me, I'm just as free as any dove. I do what I like, just when I like, and how I love it. I don't give a hoot, give my cares the boot, all the world is in rhyme. Living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time. Bother you, they never bother me. I think everything's fine. Living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time. Haven't got a lot, I don't need a lot, coffee's only a dime. Living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time. Just take it from me, I'm just as free as any dove. I do what I like, just when I like, and how I love it. I don't give a hoot, give my cares the boot, all the world is in rhyme. Living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time. bother you, they never bother me. I think everything's fine. Living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time. Haven't got a lot, I don't need a lot. Coffee's only a dime. Living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time. Just take it from me, I'm just as free as any dove. I do what I like, just when I like, and how I love it. I don't give a hoot, give my cares the boot, all the world is in rhyme. Living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time. that bother you, they never bother me. I think everything's fine. Living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time. Haven't got a lot, I don't need a lot, coffee's only a dime. Living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time. Just take it from me, I'm just as free as any dove. I do what I like, just when I like, and how I love it. I don't give a hoot, give my cares the boot, all the world is in rhyme. Living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time. Bother you, they never bother me. I think everything's fine. Living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time. Haven't got a lot, I don't need a lot, coffee's only a dime. Living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time. Just take it from me, I'm just as free as any dove. I do what I like, just when I like, and how I love it. I don't give a hoot, give my cares the boot, all the world is in rhyme. Living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time.
夏って感じですね。でもさすがにこの感じの服装で歩いてる女性はなかなかいないんじゃないでしょうか。いや全然余裕ですめっちゃ楽しいですよ。今日の撮影は特になんか恋の感じなのでなんか新鮮な気持ちで。新鮮ですか？いや新鮮ですよ。まあ思い出すとかっていうより新しいことを取り入れる感じですね。想像して想像して。前向きですね。まだまだ続きますね。いや頑張ります。ください。
Just when I like and how I love it, I don't give a hoot, give my cares the boot, all the world is in rhyme. Living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time. I peeked in to say goodnight, and then I heard my child in prayer, and for me some scarlet ribbons for her hair. If I live to be 100, I will never know from where came those lovely scarlet ribbons for Fox went out on a chilly night, prayed for the moon for to give him light. Prayed many a mile to go that night before he reached the town, oh, town, oh, town, oh. Many a mile to go that night before he reached the town, oh. Ran till he came to a great big bend where the ducks and the geese were put therein, saying a couple of you gonna grease my chin before I leave this town, oh, town, oh, town, oh. Couple of you gonna grease my chin before I leave this town, oh. Grabbed the gray goose by the back of the neck, throwed a duck across his back. He didn't mind her quack, 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 and the legs all dangling down, oh, down, oh, down, oh. He didn't mind her quack, 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 and the legs all dangling down, oh. Old mother fluffer jumped out of bed, out of the window she popped her head, crying, John, John, the gray goose is gone, and the fox is on the town, oh, town, oh, town, oh. Crying, John, John, the gray goose is gone, and the fox is on the town, oh. Johnny went to the top of the hill, blowed his horn both loud and shrill. Foxy said, better flee with McGill, or they'll soon be on my trail, oh, trail, oh, trail, oh. Foxy said, better flee with the kill, will soon be on my trail. Ran the little ones, 8, 9, 10. They said, Daddy, better go back again, cause it must be a mighty fine town. They said, Daddy, better go back again, cause it must be a mighty fine town. Oh. Then the fox and his wife, without any strife, cried up the goose with a fork and a knife. They never had such a supper in their life when the little ones chewed on the bones, oh, bones, oh, bones, oh. They never had such a supper in their life when the little ones chewed on the bones, oh, bones, oh, bones, oh. Joshua, 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 went to Jericho, 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 Jericho, and the walls came tumbling down. Jericho, 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 Joshua fit the battle of Jericho, and the walls came tumbling down. You can talk about your king of Gideon, talk about your king of Saul, but ain't nobody like a Joshua in the battle of Jericho. Joshua fit the battle of Jericho, 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 Joshua fit the battle of Jericho, and the walls came tumbling down. Joshua fit the battle of Jericho. 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 Joshua fit the battle of Joshua fit the battle of Joshua fit the battle of the walls came tumbling down. Joshua fit at the battle of Jericho. Joshua fit at the battle of Jericho. Joshua fit at the battle of Jericho. The walls came tumbling down. You can talk about the king of Gideon. Oh, talk about the king of Saul, but ain't nobody like a Joshua at the battle of Jericho. Oh, the battle of the walls came a tumbling, the walls came a tumbling, the walls came a tumbling down.
Hey, Dad. What's cooking? Bring your dancing shoes with you tonight? Oh, I wear my low cuts continually. You never can tell where I might bump into Fred Astaire and have to lay a few new capers.
Say there, would you care to join us in a little tipsickery there, Andy?
Well, now, wait a minute. Where'd you get this kingfish? You've been hanging around with Dean Martin, hasn't you? Well, I don't know about the terpsichore. Is it trickery?
No, not at all.
Not trickery at all.
Matter of fact, it's a little on the early Shirley Temple style.
Early Shirley Temple. Well, I can... Oh! It's my old racket.
Yeah.
You fellas like this as well as dancing?
It's working.
When did you work? Now.
You a regular Arthur Murray.
Captain says I should smile more. You been dancing long, Dad? About 30 seconds. Shirley Temple?
Yeah, this is it.
Looks more like late George Raft. Oh, yeah. Who taught you this? You. Sorry, folks. Back to the gym.
My Line. Brought to you by Kellogg's, the folks who give you the widest choice of cereals in the whole wide world. All the great grains in the forms you like best. Yours from Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now let's all play What's My Line?
And now let's meet our award-winning What's My Line panel. First, the popular columnist whose voice of Broadway appears in papers from coast to coast, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
And now it's a great pleasure to welcome back one of our favorite guest panelists, Robert Q. Lewis.
Drop this on the way. To my left, a most delightful young lady and the best darn tie straightener on this show, Miss Arlene Francis.
And now a gentleman who is terribly happy because he has just published what promises to be the hit of this season, the Jerome Weidman book, The Enemy Camp, Mr. Bennett Cerf.
Thank you, Arlene. And now our panel moderator, who knows every word in the lexicon, probably because he walks up from Grand Central Station on Lexington Avenue.
Ooh, lost.
Our boy, what's his name again?
John Charles Daly.
John Charles Daly.
Well, you can see what spring and summer have done for the panel. We hope so, anyway, because we have some very interesting occupations for them tonight, all brought here by some very nice people who hope with me that they can puzzle the panel completely and stump them. We'll also have a famous mystery guest before our panel a little bit later in the show. We'll meet our first challenger after this. Let's see what we can do with our first challenger. Will you come in and sign in, please? David H. Brown. Is that right? Just for fun, because you did put the H there. What does the H stand for?
It's Welsh. Howell.
Howell?
Howell.
Howell.
Welsh.
And what does it mean? Does it have a translate into something?
No, it doesn't. Actually, it's just a Welsh name.
Oh, fine. Where are you from?
Redondo Beach, California.
Redondo Beach, California. Well, you have come a long way. Mr. Brown, the panel, Mr. Brown, will you join me over here now? Tell me, coming all the way from Redondo Beach, are you aware of the system by which we keep score on this here program?
Oh, yes, we see it in Redondo Beach, too, you know.
Fine. On that basis, let's let the folks at home and those who are with us in the audience tonight know exactly what your line is. All right, panel, Mr. Brown is salaried. And let's begin the general questioning with Arlene Francis.
Mr. Brown, do you work for a profit-making organization?
I do.
You're wearing a blazer, which is very becoming to you. Do you have anything to do with the out-of-doors, Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Whatever you do, you perform out-of-doors, do you?
Generally, yes.
Is it a service of some kind?
No, I don't think so.
Well, now, if I may, a small conference.
Right, it is.
Actually, what I just had to explain that in our broad terminologies, we would consider this a service, yes.
Mr. Brown, is there anything sportsmanlike about what you do? I do hope so.
Vaguely, I suppose.
So vaguely, as a matter of fact, that in
That I'm going
the
to get a
fear
no.
of misleading the panel, we'll give you a no. That's
Thanks
one
a lot.
down and 9 to go, Mr. Sir.
Mr. Brown, Redondo Beach suggests water, the Pacific Ocean. Do your activities include any use or reference or connection with water?
Definitely, yes.
Oh, they do. Do you sometimes wear, in the carrying out of your duties, a uniform quite different than the one you're wearing tonight?
No. In other words, I would have to put the question in its full frame of reference. You would perform your service as you are dressed now and would
You
not
could
wear any
perform.
other costume?
I certainly wouldn't, as I am dressed now, but I wouldn't wear a uniform.
Well, now we use a uniform. Let me have a small conference.
I'd like to have one with him myself.
He looks like it.
Yeah.
I think, Bennett, that we will have to agree on the specifics of exactly what Mr. Brown now tells me he wears, that you get a no. That's 2 down and 8 to go, Miss Kilgannon.
Could I get the question back? Because now I'm thoroughly confused.
The question was basically, did Mr. Brown wear a uniform, something other than normal clothing? Mr. Brown does say he would not wear his blazer to do his work, but at the same time he is dressed normally for workaday work.
In other words, it wouldn't be any great clue if you came in wearing exactly what you wore to work last Thursday.
Not at all.
We wouldn't gain a thing by it. So I take it you don't go into the water, if you can help it.
On occasion. On occasion, I...
With his clothes on,
With a suit on?
No, but that is not the norm. Only on occasion does he go into the water. Actually, it's not required, right?
Right.
Are you on any sort of means of transportation when you're near the water?
No, I'm afraid not.
3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Lewis.
Just out of curiosity, Mr. Brown, does your work in any way entertain?
Yes.
Would the means toward that entertainment involve others than human beings? Would others than human beings be involved in what you do?
Oh, yes.
Would there be, animals? Some form of animal life?
Yes.
Well, I don't know much about Redondo Beach. Do you work then for a profit-making organization which might be compared to an aquarium or a zoo or something of that sort?
Yes, I do.
Well, I just have to have a while. Are you a keeper or a trainer of animals of some specific type?
Yes.
They are in the fish family, I trust.
No.
Mammal family.
4 down. There we go, Miss Francis. You fell into that one.
Are they in the mammal family?
Yes.
But they're seagoing mammals,
Yes.
Aren't we
all? Would any of us ever wear a coat that might come from one of these animals?
I'm afraid not.
No octopus coat.
5 down and 5 to go, Mr. Sir.
And you have nothing to do with seals. Well, I
No.
mean,
Not in this particular...
Not in this particular. But are these animals that, would it be possibly in the walrus or whale class?
Yes.
Which one? Well, to start in at the top, have you anything to do with whales?
Yes.
You don't train whales. Do you? You train whales? How can you train whales?
You don't train whales. I got to flip all the cards, as a matter of fact, because he does train whales. And
How can you train whales?
What do you train
Fellas,
to do?
actually, this is Mr. Brown's story to tell, but he has a whale, a 15-footer.
A what whale?
This is a real whale, a pilot whale. In fact, I'm happy to say it's the only whale in the world in captivity at the present time. We keep it at Marineland of the Pacific in California. It's a very fabulous animal. We've trained it to jump over hurdles, leap completely out of the water, to sing, to punch a punching bag, to wear a hat, and wave goodbye, and several other interesting little tricks. It'll even suffer a man to ride on its back.
It's a sissy whale.
It's a singing whale.
It's the prince of whales.
It's a sissy whale, it's a lady whale, and we call her Bubbles.
Bubbles.
I'm known as Elvis Bubbles the Whale.
Bubbles
Yes, sir.
Shinazi whale.
Soft shoe, I want to see that.
And I want you next winter to watch Arlene coming across the stage in her whale coat.
And carrying the whale.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Brown. We had a
Thank
very
you,
good
Mr.
time.
Brown.
Very good, panel. You're on your mettle tonight. I thought we'd give you a real rough time with that one. Let's see what you can do with the second challenge. Would you come in and sign in, please? Jean? Jean Farrell, is that right? And is it Miss or Mrs. Farrell?
The latter.
Mrs. Farrell, and where are you from?
From Cincinnati, Ohio.
Cincinnati, Ohio. Well, it's nice to have you here with us. Mrs. Farrell, the panel. Panel. Farrell, would you join me over here, please? You know how we keep score?
Yes, I do.
Well, that's fine. Let's let the folks here in the audience and the people at home know exactly what your line is. All right. Panel, Mrs. Farrell is self-employed, and let's begin the general questioning with Robert Q. Lewis.
Miss or Mrs. Farrell?
Mrs. Farrell.
More's the pity. Mrs. Farrell, do you render a service?
Yes, I do.
Is this a service for both men and women?
Yes, it is.
Well, the logical question is, when could I avail myself of your services?
It requires a very special occasion.
A very special occasion.
But you could.
I don't know if I'll let you know later, John. Mrs. Farrell, does what you do require more than a high school education?
No, it doesn't.
1 down and 9 to go, Miss Francis.
Oh, I thought I would get a yes, it does not. Oh, no, of course not. Well, never mind. I haven't been here for so long. Please,
you're not here now, old boy.
I know.
Miss Francis?
Mrs. Farrell, you too look healthy and out of doorsy. Is what you do an occupation that keeps you out of doors?
No, it isn't.
That's 2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Sir.
Mrs. Farrell, do you have the privilege of instructing or advising people in any way?
Yes, to a certain extent.
What's that face, John?
The question was so broad that it would be difficult to give you an answer that was exact. But I want to give you an exact answer because
Yes.
I don't want to mislead you.
Well,
Would
then I'll
you like
narrow
to
it
put
down
the
a bit.
question again?
Yes. Mrs. Farrell, do you teach or instruct in any way?
No, I don't.
That's 3 down and 7 to go, Miss Gilgal.
Satisfied, John?
When people avail themselves of your services, Mrs. Farrell, do you speak to them? Yes, I do. Do they come to you both sexes at a time? Yes, they do. Is there anything romantic about their coming? Not at all. What? No, not at all.
4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Lewis.
Do you then not work for a government agency?
No, she's self-employed.
Oh, I beg your pardon. See, I'm not here. Is there, the people come to you, both men and women come to you, are these people attached to each other?
What?
I mean, by that,
Siamese?
hardly physically, Mrs. Farrell, but are they married people who come to you?
You mean, do they have to be married? Is this a requirement of their...
Can they be? Thank you, Dorothy.
Yes,
can
they can
Well,
be.
then don't be misled. People can come to see Mrs. Farrell. They can come singly. They can come together. They can be married. They can be single. They can be going with one another. They could hate each other's temperaments. You never can tell.
I think you got a yes.
I think so. In your work, Mrs. Farrell, you work indoors as opposed to outdoors. There is no special garb required for what you do. Is that correct?
That's right. There is no special garb, no.
To do what you do, would your training necessarily involve more than 6 months of study?
It would not.
It would
That
not.
makes it 5 down and 5 to go, Miss Francis.
You work indoors. Do you work in a large enclosure?
No?
No. 6 down and 4 to go, Mr. Sir.
Does the service that you give, Mrs. Farrell, involve either food, drink, or clothing?
No, it doesn't.
7 down and 3 to go, Miss Kilgallen. I'm going to give you 1 minute more.
May we assume, Mrs. Farrell, that there is no product that's important to your work?
Yes,
You are yes, you may primarily a service person. You talk to these people who come to you. Do you also do something else for them? Yes. Do you write anything down? Yes, I write. And you say that it's a special occasion when they come.
Well, she said it would be a special occasion when Mr. Lewis came. This all by itself would make it a... Well, there you are. Oh,
special occasion when he comes.
They will come to see Mrs. Farrell because they have a special mission which they wish to be executed.
And do you accomplish this particular thing while they are there rather than afterwards? Not necessarily.
No. 8 down and 2 to go. I'm going to give you 25 seconds more.
This doesn't only happen in Ohio, Mrs. Farrell. There are people like you all over the country, are there?
Yes. Yes.
Can we have a conference a minute?
10 seconds.
What do you think?
Babies.
What about something like a private detective or summons service?
Not
No?
Mrs. Farrell. No.
Private detective over...
I've heard
which one,
enough.
babies?
I'm turning all the cards over because you might as well know now that Mrs. Farrell is a bill collector. We'll meet tonight's mystery guest in just a moment, but first, here is a word from our alternate sponsor. Come to the special feature of our program, the appearance of our mystery celebrity, for which my friends on the panel are blindfolded. Blindfolds all in place, panel?
Yes, sir.
Good. Will you come in, mystery challenger, and sign in, please? Panel, you know, in the case of our mystery celebrity, you go to a different form of questioning. You will ask one question at a time, in turn, moving clockwise. And let's begin with Bennett Cerf.
Those are very intriguing whistles. Would you say that you are even more curvaceous than the two ladies on this panel? Huh?
Yes. I'm sorry that it's necessary for the chair to amend that answer. You get a no. 1 down and 9 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Are you an entertainer who does something other than just acting?
Yes. Mr. Lewis?
Are you also a singer?
Yes.
He's a dubious singer.
Mr. Dubious.
Mr. Dubious. You a television personality?
Yes. Mr. Cerf?
Do you sometimes sing songs about crying and things like that?
Who doesn't?
Was one of your big hit songs, did it have something to do with crying?
No. 2 down and 8 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Okay, are you Julius LaRosa?
No. That's 3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Lewis.
Is it Tony Bennett?
No. 4 down and 6 to go, Miss Fred.
Are you going to be on the air as a summer replacement? How do I know? I just made it up.
Yes. Mr. Cerf?
Oh, well.
Are you a member of a very famous theatrical family?
Yes.
I pass.
Well, I think, are you one of the Williams? Are you Andy Williams?
Did you? Don't take your blindfold off, Robert.
All right.
That's 5 down and 5 to go, Miss Francis.
Are you not quite as bold as another member of your family?
Oh.
Yes. No.
What would you say your Crosby rating was? With Bob Crosby? Is it?
Bob Crosby?
I still think we should have made him say which one.
I did say Bob.
Robert.
I did say Bob.
The audience is,
Bob.
He said Robert, I believe.
Oh,
He gave
I
you
didn't
that
hear Robert.
distinguished
Bob.
bit, you know.
Honestly.
Yeah.
There are so many Crosbys in entertainment now.
They keep coming and more all the time.
It seems to me that reading a gentleman named Bill Slocum, you just got back from Brussels, or Europe?
No, I was in England.
In England. You didn't go to Brussels.
No, I didn't.
I think it was a very amusing column.
Oh, he's a wonderful guy, John.
Well, we've both known him a great time, but I think it must be pleasant for you to read a column like that, because the substance of it was that Mr. Bob Crosby is a very nice person, and to that we say amen. He is a very nice person.
John. I think the nicest thing about it was that
I thought Bill Slocum wrote about, well, other things than people in show business. And when I met him, when I talked to him, it was entirely unsolicited. I didn't know that he would do a column on me.
Well, he sure did, man.
He did a wonderful column.
And
the
now
only thing is, he said one thing in there. He said, this might be the Crosby that people think Bing is. And luckily, Bing is fishing off of Alaska, else I'd blow my allowance.
Well, when he gets back, I was with Bing at his golf thing.
I was there with you, too.
Yeah, and you were out there. We
together.
fought it through together and had a wonderful time. Give both Miss Kathy and Bing my regards.
Oh, Kathy's wonderful.
Yeah. To clean up one or two small items here, because I think it's something we should note. Your question was asked if Bob was a summer replacement. He is a most distinguished one. He's a summer replacement for a gentleman named Dr. Perry Como on another network whose initials are NBC on Saturday night.
I always follow the best singers.
Well, thank you, Robert. We had a wonderful time having you with us. Thanks a lot for coming. And we'll have another contestant after this word from our sponsor. Well, we have time for one more contestant. If you move quickly, will you come in and sign in, please? Lee Keener. Is that right, sir? How are you? Mr. Keener? Where are you from?
Yuma, Arizona.
Yuma, Arizona. Mr. Keener, the panel. Mr. Keener, will you join me here? You know how we keep score, sir?
I sure do. I've
Fine.
been watching your program a long while.
Thank you. Now let's let everybody except the panel everywhere know what your line is. Exactly. All right, panel, we will tell you that Mr. Keener is salaried, and let's begin the general questioning with Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
Mr. Keener, you look rather indoorsy. Do you do most of your work indoors?
Indoors?
Uh-huh.
Well, sometimes. I can do it indoors or outdoors.
Oh, that's nice. Could anybody on this panel take advantage of your job?
Take advantages of
Oh, I don't
what
mean
you
of
do.
you, but I mean
think
of
so.
what you do.
Yeah.
Is
Yes.
it kind of a fun thing rather than deadly serious?
Yes, it's fun.
Well, is it fun for other people as well as you?
I hope so.
Do you deal with both sexes?
Yes.
Do they come to you?
Yes.
And do you do something for them while they're there?
Yes.
Do they come 2 by 2?
Do they come 2 by 2? Specifically, no. That's one down a night to
Did
go.
you hear what Arlene said? She said, I have a Noah's Ark complex.
Mr. Keener, you do work with human beings. You do work with human beings.
Yes, not whales.
Not whales, huh? Is there any product connected with your work?
Connected with?
Well, is there a product involved in your work? Were I to go
No,
to Mr.
not
Keener?
by the terms of our program. 2 down and 8 to go, Miss Francis.
Do you ever touch the people that come in contact with you?
Well, the nice ones.
Given no answer to that with no explanation. That's 3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Sir.
Mr. Keener, do you ever have anything to do with the tourists or visitors who come to Arizona?
Yes.
Would you say that your work was definitely connected with tourists of some kind?
No, not definitely. 4 down and 6 to go. We've got time for about 2 questions.
Do they
Miss
have
Kilgallen?
gambling in Yuma?
Gambling in Yuma?
Well, don't look so shocked, John.
We've never heard of it in Yuma.
Oh.
5 down and 5 to go, Mr. Lewis.
Do you by any chance work for any branch of the government in Yuma?
Any branch of the government?
No.
No, okay.
6 down and 4 to go. I'm afraid we have to throw the towel in because we've run out of time, but you weren't close, I'm sorry to tell you. Mr. Keener is a one-man band. No, it's mixed music. Thank you very much, Mr. Keener.
John.
And on that happy note, until next week, this is John Daly saying good night, Dorothy Kilgallen.
Good night, John. Good night, Bob. Come again. You are a
Thank
great
you.
help.
Thank you, Dorothy. Good night. I want to put that man on my show tomorrow night. Is that all right? Good night, Arlene.
Good night, and I'll straighten your tie anytime. Good night, Bennett.
Good night, John.
Good night, Bennett. And it's nice to have had you back with us, Robert Q.
Thanks.
Next week, by the way, Jack Lemmon will be here, warming that particular place on the panel. It'd be nice to have him back, too. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us on What's My Line.
If you'd like to attend our broadcast and see the panel and our guests in person, write for tickets to What's My Line, CBS Television, 485 Madison Avenue, New York, 22, New York. Transportation for contestants on What's My Line is arranged by American Airlines. What's My Line is a Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production in association with the CBS Television Network.
What is your name, please?
My name is Max Kidd.
My name is Max Kidd.
My name is Max Kidd.
Only one of these men is the real Max Kidd. The other two are imposters and will try to fool this panel. Tom Poston, Peggy Cass, Johnny Carson, and Kitty Carlisle on To Tell the Truth with your host, Bud Collier.
Thank you very much, and welcome once again to Tell the Truth, brought to you this week by Salem Cigarettes. Good evening, panel.
Good evening, Bud.
Peggy, nice of you to take time off from your chores with your regular television series, The Hathaways, and come see us again.
Thank you very much. I'm very glad to be here.
Now, panel, will you kindly open up your envelopes for the first time and remove the affidavit cards and follow along as I read. I, Max Kidd, am football coach at Rose Polytechnic Institute. My entire football squad consists of only 15 players. We have played 8 games this season and lost all of them. While we scored only 1 touchdown all season, our opponents scored an average of 10 touchdowns per game for a total of 595 points against us. This is probably some kind of a national record. Signed, Max Kidd. All set, gentlemen? Comfortable? Okay, panel, you heard these 3 gentlemen all claiming to be Max Kidd. Courageous, I think you'll agree, football coach. And we start this questioning with Kitty Carlisle. Kitty?
Thank you, Bud. There must be some kind of a conundrum connected with this, because it isn't often that one hears about this kind of a record. Is it unusual to have only 15 players, number one?
Well, rather.
Where is Rose Polytechnic Institute, number 2?
Rose Polytechnic Institute is in Millersville, Pennsylvania.
Number 3, are your players all have something in common, like are they all blind or...
They're all loud. Well, they're all boys.
No, I don't mean to laugh. Truly, there's nothing peculiar about them. I mean, they're not handicapped in any way, number one.
I just can't win. No, I don't think so.
I see.
Tom Poston.
Thank you, Bud. I was going to ask technical questions about football, but with this kind of... I don't know whether the coach would know.
Try and see.
Number 1, what is red dogging? What does that actually mean?
Well, that's where a linebacker shoots through the line on a given signal and leaves his position unguarded and plans on trapping the passer or the ball carrier before he can get very far.
Thank you. Number 2, what's an alternate name for red dogging? He almost said it. Well, I think some places call it a blitz. They blitz the passer. Could be. Number 3, what is a trap play?
Well, the trap play is usually used with the fullback, where the quarterback, he's being hit by the passes. I mean, he's being hit there, so he moves in and gives the ball to the fullback. And it's usually when they're rushing the passer. So they use the trap for the full to go right through.
Thank you.
Number 3, who is the coach of MIT football? That's Massachusetts Institute of Technology.
Well, I don't know that.
Name dropper.
Number 2, do you know the coach of Massachusetts Institute of Technology?
There's no coach at MIT. They have no football team.
Now, tell me, would you please tell number 1, where are the Rams located? That's a football team.
Detroit.
In Detroit? Thank you. In number 3, could you tell me where the Rams are?
The Rams?
Yes.
Los Angeles, California.
Thank you.
Johnny.
Number 1, coach, and I hope you don't take offense at the word, coach. What do you attribute this record to, of all losses? I mean... Well, I believe the other 8 teams were a little better than we were. Number 2, I assume you have no athletic scholarships at
None.
For the Polytechnic Institute.
Just students.
Just students.
Okay, that's it. It's time for us to have our own particular huddle now, but we can't huddle with each other. There must be no consultation as you mark your ballots. And do so now, please, without consulting. And vote for number 1, number 2, or number 3. As usual, of course, our challengers will receive $250 for every incorrect vote. You all set? I've heard of a coach in 4. First time I ever heard of a coach in 15, though, and that's what this man is. All set, Tom. For whom did you vote?
I have to confess to being a little chicken. I wanted to vote for number 1, but I was scared to on the Detroit Rams. So I voted for number 3.
Okay, and Peggy, which one did you select as the...
I voted for number 3 because he looks like an ex-football player. And he looks sort of like my husband, too.
Johnny.
Is your husband losing, too?
What's your vote, Johnny?
Number 1 said the Rams were Detroit. Of course, they're out in Los Angeles. And number 3 looks too happy to be a coach. Number 2 looks like he's looking for work. So I'm
And Kitty, your vote.
I voted for number 3. I know nothing about football. I've never seen a football game. But number 3 said Max Kidd. And anyone whose name is Max Kidd has got to say it that way. Otherwise, it sounds like Max Kidd. And he, through the years, must have learned how to say Max Kidd. So I voted for number 3.
Okay, there we have it. Our minds are all made up, and we'll find out now whether we made them up well or not, as we learn which one of these gentlemen is the real losing football coach. So will the real Max Kidd please stand up? Yes, Peggy. Trouble?
No wonder if you didn't even know the Rams were in Los Angeles that oh, I don't mean that personally, but that's a very big football team, the Rams.
I'll tell you, I was afraid of this. I was really afraid of this. I think that there may be a non-professional team in Detroit whose device is a Ram. Is that true, Mr. Kidd?
No, I don't think so, Tom.
You just goofed, right?
I just goofed.
Good luck.
All right, let's find out about the other two now. Number 2, would you tell us your real name and what you really do, please?
That's the kind of leadership those kids are looking for.
Let's have it quiet now, because I want to introduce the other members of the challengers to you, please. So will you pay attention? Number 2, your real name and what you really do.
My name is Ed Houck. I'm an account executive for Dudley Anderson Utsi, a New York industrial public relations firm.
Thank you, sir. And number 3, your real name and what you really do, please.
My name is Sid Adger, and I sell mud.
Wait a minute. What do you mean you sell mud?
Bud, I'm Senior Vice President for Bill White Mud Sales Company in Houston, Texas. And we sell mud to the oil industry to drill the well.
Oh, never heard of that.
That's why he reminded you of your husband, Pat.
That's right. Incidentally, just to keep the record straight, we've had a lot of fun. Rose Polytechnic Institute is actually in Terre Haute, Indiana. And we've had lots of laughing at it, but seriously, how come the record is so bad, Max?
Well, we're strictly an engineering school, Bud. We have only 4 major courses in engineering, and our scholastic requirements are real high.
Oh, boy.
We have no athletic scholarships at all. Kids come there, as a former president, Dr. Ford Wilkerson, says, to get an education in engineering, and we aim to see they get it.
Well, congratulations to you. We're all for you. Yes, it's true. It's a pleasure in this day and age to see a school that sticks by the straight and narrow and really wants to give an education. Congratulations to you, sir. In checking up on the score, we find there were 1, 2, 3, 4 incorrect votes. You really, I believe the term is skunked the panel all the way down the line for a total of $1,000 to divide amongst you from Salem Cigarettes and a carton of Salem's for each of you. Thank you, gentlemen. Good night and good luck to you. God bless. What is it you enjoy most about springtime? Maybe it's the wonderful, carefree feeling you get on a day like this. Now, panel, let's meet our next team of challengers.
What is your name, please?
My name is David Douglas Duncan. My name is David Douglas Duncan.
My name is David Douglas Duncan.
Follow along once again, panel, if you will, please, with your copies of this affidavit. I, David Douglas Duncan, am a journalist photographer. My assignments have carried me to almost every part of the world. Many of my photographs have appeared in the nation's leading magazines. I have also produced several books. One of them, This is War, is a photographic essay on the conflict in Korea. For another book called The Kremlin, I obtained, for the first time in history, permission to photograph in color the Tsarist crown jewels and other treasures in the vast Russian fortress. My latest book is my second on the great painter Pablo Picasso. As a result of a solid friendship with the artist, I have reproduced, again in color, more than 100 of the never-before-seen works of Picasso from his own private collection. I call the book Picasso's Picassos. Signed, David Douglas Duncan. Now, as you heard, panel, these are 3 gentlemen, each one claiming to be David Douglas Duncan, renowned photographer. And we will begin this round of questioning with Peggy Katz. Peggy?
Number 2, where is the Hermitage Museum?
In Leningrad, Russia.
And number 2, what is the first name of Picasso's wife?
Jacqueline.
Number 3, where is the pottery located where Picasso made those ceramics?
Right there near La California.
And could you please tell me the name of the town where the pottery is, because it's written on them?
Not too far from Cannes, just outside of Cannes.
Number 2, could you please tell me the name of the little town?
Near Cannes?
Yes.
Valeries.
Thank you. Number 1, could you please tell me what colors Guernica is done in?
It's done in very harsh, brutal reds and blacks, mostly.
Thank you.
Johnny.
I've seen a lot of Mr. Duncan's work. I don't know him, but he's a great artist, whichever gentleman it is. Number 1, what was the name of Picasso's most famous model? I don't believe it was his wife.
It wasn't his wife. Her name was Caroline, I think.
Number 2, do you know?
His most famous model? Depends upon the period.
What year was his blue period?
His blue period? About 1902.
Number 3, do you agree to that?
Yes.
Kitty.
Number 1, what was the name of the last Tsar before the revolution?
Nicholas Romanov.
Nicholas the what?
Nicholas, I think he was the 12th or...
Number 2, could you tell me who Kerensky was?
I beg your pardon?
Kerensky.
Kerensky?
Yes.
He helped lead one of the revolutions. One of the revolutions.
Number 3, what is the name of Picasso's 2 daughters? What are the names?
The little one is Paloma, and the older one is Maya.
Number 1, who is Diane Vreeland?
Tom Post.
Diane Vreeland's husband is the president of the International Bank, and she's head of Harper's Bazaar, I believe.
See, one smile from Kitty, and they go right on past the bell. That's all they need.
I don't blame
She's Vreeland's wife. Tom.
Recently, a Picasso painting was sold to a European museum for the highest price for a living artist. Number 2, may I ask you why that particular painting was so unique? I mean, in price? Well, What made it unique by itself, of and by itself, besides being, of course, a Picasso and selling for the highest price?
I don't know what you mean.
Let me see. First of all, do you know what it was, the painting?
As a portrait? No, I don't know.
You don't happen to know what that is?
Well, I guess that's it, and we may never know. Well, let's try to find out right now how well you know your apples in this particular round, or how well you know your paintings. As we just vote, if you will, please now. Mark your ballots without consultation, and vote for number 1, number 2, or number 3. Okay, everybody set. Tom, for whom did you vote?
Well, I think if I answer my own question, I ought to vote for me. As it was, I voted for number 2. That painting had another painting on the back of it. He was so poor at the time that he couldn't afford canvas, so he repainted on the back of his own picture.
Peggy.
I voted for number 2 because he knew the name of that pottery.
Johnny?
I voted for 1, not because of any of the answers I received. It just looks like an artist. That bon vivant, you know, type of mustache.
And Kitty, which one did you select?
It's very difficult. I voted for number 2 because of Valerie. Number 1 was very well documented on Diane Vreeland, but he said it was Nicholas the 12th, and I think it was Nicholas the 2nd.
All right, fair enough. We'll find out now, as we've simply drawn our own lines here. Let's see how finally we can draw them as we learn the truth in the matter. Find out which one of these gentlemen is the real photographer. So will the real David Douglas Duncan please stand up? Pleasure to have you with us, sir. Let's check the others now. Number 1, would you tell us your real name and what you really do, please?
Miss Carlisle knows me. I'm Fred Boland. I'm a retired banker and securities analyst. Steve Brody.
Where?
Remember Steve Brody?
Yeah.
Old friend.
That's a long time ago.
I didn't say how long, did I?
Well, you've changed, but Kitty hasn't, you see.
Not a bit, no.
Number 3, your real name and what you do, please, sir.
I'm Russell Davis, Associate Vice President of the Stamford United Fund.
Well, we check our score and find the panel did much better this time. They got 3 right, but 1 wrong, and that's then a total of $250 from Salem for you gentlemen, and a carton of Salem cigarettes on your way out. I do hope you've enjoyed your visit. We've enjoyed having you with us. Good night. Good night, and bless you.
It goes without saying, but I think that I can speak for a blanket approval of Mr. Duncan's work. It's simply magnificent.
Oh, it is.
All of the things that he does.
Wonderful. He's the artist of all in that line. You know, there aren't many days in the year when the weather is absolutely okay. It isn't too something or other, too cold, too hot, too wet, except this rare, perfect day that is caught here on film. Watch. Before we meet this next round of challenges, Kitty, have you ever met Mr. Boland before? Do you recall?
To my knowledge, never, and I didn't want to embarrass him, and if I had, it was 40 years ago.
You're not that old, Kitty.
No, that was before you were born. How could you remember him? All right, now let's have our 3rd team of challenges.
What are you going to say?
What is your name, please?
My name is Donna Holloway. My name is Donna Holloway. My name is Donna Holloway.
Now, panel, you may have noticed something missing in your affidavit envelope there. There is no affidavit because we have a little surprise in store for one of you. So please listen closely as I read from my copy. What? I, Donna Holloway, will soon be working closely with one of the To Tell the Truth panelists. I am associate producer of the new William Castle production entitled Zotz. We will begin filming tomorrow in Hollywood. The star of the picture is a man I have never met, Tom Poston. Signed, Donna Holloway.
Oh, you devil. Now I see that.
That's our little surprise panel, and each of these ladies claims to be Donna Holloway, associate producer of the new motion picture Zotz. And we'll start with the star of the motion picture, Tom Poston. Tom?
Gee, I don't want to be too technical. Is it fair? Okay. Number one, what recent change was made in the script? The only major one.
Yes, the change from the father to the uncle.
Thank you, number one. Number two, would you kindly name three of our director's latest motion pictures?
Well, the last one was Sardonicus, and the one before that was Homicidal, and I believe the one before Three Ghosts.
Thank you. Number three, which one of those pictures is used in the script of Zotz?
Mr. Sardonicus.
And what way?
Well, it has to do with the character that was playing Mr. Sardonicus, the one with the smile.
Peggy.
Number two, what street is Columbia Pictures on?
It's on Gower, North Gower.
And number three, between what streets?
Well, it's right off Sunset, actually.
And then what's the next street down from that?
Beechwood.
Which way? Forget it, I don't know that, east and west. Number one, where is the Columbia Ranch?
In the valley, in Burbank.
Wow, they know everything.
Yeah.
Number
they're all going to be working
who
on
is Sam Briskin?
Sam Briskin is the vice president in charge of production on the coast.
Johnny.
How do they know?
Number three, just how closely will you be associated with Mr. Poston?
Close as I can get.
Close as you can.
We all need love, Johnny. We all need companionship and affection.
In what capacity will you be working on this picture?
Well, I'm associate producer. I actually do everything the producer does when he doesn't have time.
Number
Trying to.
You're going to be a very busy girl. Time is up.
Kitty, yes.
Number one, who is Solly Schwartz?
He's the new head of Columbia, a production head. Sam Briskin is still at the studio, however.
Number two, are you going to fly tonight with Tom?
I'm going to fly tonight. I don't know if I have the pleasure of Tom's company. I'm leaving on the 9:30.
It's part of your job, my dear. Writing your contract.
All right, that's it. The time is up now. The time has come for you to put down on those ballots just what you think about this as to which one is the real one. So vote now without consultation. And vote for number one.
Oh, my God.
Number two. Or number three. Go ahead. Mark it, Tom.
I can't.
Okay, there we have it now. For whom did you vote, Tom?
I voted for number one. They knew everything. I'd like to vote for them all. Maybe I should. I'll vote for all of them.
Can't take them all with you.
You're trying to play it safe.
I voted for number one. Everybody knew everything that I knew, but she has a tan, and that's like California.
All right, Johnny.
I was going to ask Tom, what does Zotz mean? Is that the name of the
We'll find out later.
Zotz?
It's an ancient god in the Middle East someplace.
Oh, that sounds like a wonderful picture. I voted for number three.
Okay, and Kitty.
Did you vote?
I voted for number one. They all did indeed know everything that I knew, but I thought that number one was the one that was going to be with Tom.
Okay, I'd like you now to meet the real Donna Holloway. And so will the real Donna Holloway please stand up? This little stunt, in a way, was just our way of saying to you, Tom, good luck and Godspeed and much success before the Hollywood
wonderful
cameras, as opposed
surprise.
to the television cameras.
I'm so pleased.
Wish you the best of everything. We'll all be pulling hard for you.
Thank you.
Now, number two, would you tell us your real name and what you really do, please?
Yes, my name is Connie Clausen, and I'm the author of I Love You, Honey, But the Season's Over. And I was on Johnny Carson's show last spring.
You were, now I remember, but I didn't remember you either.
Number three, your real name and what you do,
avoid a
please.
trip to the district attorney's office.
Number three, please.
My name is Nomi Nash, and I'm a fashion model here in New York.
And a very lovely. Well, we checked the score and find it again. The panel was a little too smart for us. There were 3 correct and only 1 incorrect. That's $250 from Salem and a carton of Salem's for each of you. And before you leave and pick up your carton of cigarettes, Donna, suppose you go over here and pick up your new star and take him out there with you. Go ahead. Take him out. Everybody wave goodbye to Tom. Bye, Tom. Wave goodbye to everybody. Okay. And now a word about Dristan decongestant tablets. Panel, I thought some of you may have read the book, Zots. I don't know. Some of you folks may have also. The idea is that this Zots is a sort of a magic or enchanted word. And as I understand it, if this character simply says the word Zots, everything goes slow motion. People, animals, everything goes complete slow motion. If he simply points at somebody without saying Zots, they stop. Everything stops dead still.
Gee.
If he says Zots and points, they die. So this is a jolly kind of a thing. But
You going to do a bedtime story every week?
I guess so. If we have the time, only if we have the
Why
time.
don't you explain about the lady you didn't remember?
No, that happens occasionally, and people write in and accuse me of saying that you did know the person. Yeah. But she is right. She was on the show several months ago.
I thought you meant what frequently happens on your show is that they don't remember.
That happens too.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Incidentally,
I have a bit of memory for all of you folks who have worked on our panel long. I guess that leaves just you, Kitty, right now. But next week we have an empty seat, of course, there on the panel, and it will be filled next week by our wonderful old friend, Ralph Bellamy.
Oh, good to have him back.
That's all the vital statistics. And this is Bud Collier saying good night from Salem Cigarettes and reminding you to tell the truth. Good night, everybody.
Before we get that in. But they do come in.
To Tell the Truth is a Mark Goodson, Bill Cotman production.
This is Harry Morgan. Confucius said harmony begins in the household. Of course, he was never a guest of Pete and Gladys. Next, on most of these CBS television stations.
To Tell the Truth has been brought to you tonight by Salem, the cigarette that refreshes your taste. This is Johnny Olson saying goodnight, for To Tell the Truth, this program was pre-recorded.
Heavy drinking and emotional problems took their toll. Crosby died in December 11, 1989, from a self-inflicted rifle shot to the head. He was 51. A family spokeswoman said Crosby shot himself to death in a Las Virgenes apartment after learning that the inheritance he relied on to support his family was gone. His distraught brother Dennis never recovered from Lindsay Crosby's death and died by suicide by shotgun in May 1991. Deeply distraught by his brother Lindsay's suicide and his own recent divorce, Crosby died from a self-inflicted gunshot on May 4, 1991, in Novato, California, aged 56. In January 14, 2006, Crosby's former wife, Pat Sheehan, died at the age of 74. Their son Dennis Michael Crosby Jr. died in January 15, 2010, and Patrick Anthony Crosby, born New Year's Eve 1960, died at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles, in September 19, 2011, after a lengthy illness. Gary Crosby died of lung cancer in Burbank, California in 1995, and is interred at Forest Lawn Hollywood Hills Cemetery. Crosby's first marriage was to Marie Elizabeth Grounitz. They had a daughter, Elizabeth N. He married socialite June Kuhn at his home in Spokane on September 22, 1938. They had 5 children: Christopher, George, Stephen, Kathleen and Junie. Crosby died in La Jolla, California, in March 9, 1993, at 79, from complications of cancer. Crosby died in January 14, 2004, in Woodland Hills, California from a heart attack, aged 69. This film was presented by Tahoe Company Limited.